Hi guys, welcome back to another video. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the process that I went on in order to sign my first client and what that looked like in terms of how I signed them, what the meeting was like, what the after support was like. And I think this is going to be something that's really going to be something that you guys can relate to. And if you're in the process of signing your first client, there's 100% going to be, certain things that happened through this journey of me signing my first client, and this was 4 years ago, that you can relate to, and it'll probably put you at ease. So make sure you watch the whole thing. So this is kind of like a story time rather than, telling you different strategies to go down, but hopefully you can take some strategies from them. So I'm going to take you back 4 years ago. So this was longer than 4 years ago now, when I had my own agency. Before the agency, my agency partnered with Tom's agency, and our agencies joined together. This was when I had my solo agency. Started 4 years ago as a very younger looking kid than I already do now. And yeah, so I started my agency 4.5 years ago, tried everything under the sun to sign my first client, guys. I did Instagram outreach, I did emails, I was making logo animations, and I was sending those animations to businesses and saying, hi, I've made you this logo animation, hope you enjoy. And then trying to start conversations with there. I did your voice notes on Instagram DMs, video messages on Instagram DMs. I've tried to run ads, and this was 4 years ago when not many people were running ads for social media marketing agencies. And it was an absolute disaster. I didn't get anywhere. I had a few meetings here and there, but nothing of any substance. And it kind of got me to a point where I was like, I'm getting sick of this. I remember it was the Christmas breaks. It was the start of Christmas. It was probably a week into December 4 years ago. And I said, right, Harry, don't give up. Just take 3 weeks off, go away and just, binge watch YouTube. I didn't take any courses. I sat on YouTube and I just watched every video under the sun for 3 weeks over the Christmas period. Didn't do any outreach, didn't do anything on the business, and just got my head stuck into it. And then, learned a few different things here and there. And over that 3-month period, I thought, right, I'm sat behind a keyboard. I'm sending emails. I'm sending animations. I'm sending Instagram DMs, which is incredibly easy. Like, I'm sat there, TV on sometimes, listening to music, just sat there typing away. And it's really comfortable. I just remember just being really comfortable, just sat there typing away. And I thought, if I'm so comfortable, and it was that easy for me to just be sat there with music on, TV on, Netflix on in the background, typing away, and I suddenly get a $2,000 a month client, that's too easy. Like, I remember saying to myself over that Christmas break, like, that can't be real. That's such a too easy of a business. Everyone will be doing it. And then I did some more research into different sales methods and, looked up, how call centers work, and just loads of different research. And so I said, right, in December, after the new year, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to cold call 25 businesses a day. And I did. So what I did was, obviously, I needed to prospect these businesses. And I was already kind of utilizing LinkedIn Sales Navigator to a point. And so I got on LinkedIn Sales Navigator and I was going after dental practices. And dental practices 4 years ago were nothing like they were now. It was a lot less saturated. And, if you watch any of these videos, you'll know that we don't think that any niche is that saturated. If you're good, you're going to stand out in any industry. So it doesn't matter. So going after dental practices. So I went on LinkedIn Sales Navigator. LinkedIn Sales Navigator is kind of like a lead generation source where you can type in businesses in particular industries with a set number of employees. And then you get a lead list of everyone in LinkedIn. And you can sort that LinkedIn list that you get given by LinkedIn Sales Navigator by people that have been active on LinkedIn in the past 90 days or 30 days. That way that you're only getting a lead list of people that are active on LinkedIn, so you can reach out to them. So I did this. I built a lead list of all dental practices across the UK, and I had my lead list, and I was going to go ahead and contact them all. So what I did was I connected with all of them first. This is my LinkedIn and my cold call strategy that we still use to this day. So we went on LinkedIn. We connected with every single person that we could that was active on LinkedIn in the past 30 days and fit our criteria on LinkedIn Sales Navigator. LinkedIn Sales Navigator, if you're interested, I think it's like £79 a month. So we connected with all of them. We sent them a note, a few different notes that we used that were all in the academy. And so we built our connection list, and we built our connection list only of people in our industry. Therefore, when I was posting content industry specific, all of my audience was of potential customers, which I could nurture over time. So step one was to connect with all of these people. Once they were connected with me, that was my in on the cold call. So once I connected with them, I'd try and start a message anyway on LinkedIn and then cold call them. But even if they didn't then develop into a conversation, I then cold called them. So I was cold calling 25 to 35 businesses every single day after the new year. And I contacted a dental practice in Manchester via the phone after connected with him on LinkedIn. And I said, hi, I'll call him Tim because I always use the name Tim. I said, hi, Tim. We recently connected on LinkedIn. It's a perfect way in because that instantly gave him a feeling that we had some kind of mutual connections, because otherwise he wouldn't have connected with me on LinkedIn. So I said, we recently connected on LinkedIn, went into my sales script, and really it wasn't very salesy at all. It was my 6th cold call. So this was my very first day of starting cold calling after the new year. And I had a script that I was trying to stick to, but as soon as I picked up the phone, and anyone who's, when they first start cold calling, it's practically impossible to stick to a script because you just get thrown off, and I fell into a really natural conversation, which actually worked out really well for me because I ended up speaking to him for 30 to 40 minutes, just about marketing, about what he's currently doing. And he was actually working with another agency as well. So this baffled my brain as well. The first client that I signed was also a client that was also working with another agency. So he had another agency running ads for Invisalign, teeth whitening and implants, and he wanted to pay a second agency to do the same. Eventually, he didn't at first. So on that initial call that I had with him, it ended up being 30 to 35 minutes long of me just chatting to him on a cold call, which is usually that's quite unusual. That doesn't happen a lot of the time. And we just got talking, and I said, I lived in London at the time. He was in Manchester, which was a long journey, didn't have a lot of money at all with my clapped out car. So I spoke to him and said, right, I can come see you. I'm in Manchester, made up that I was in Manchester next week on a Thursday, I think it was. And I said, right, I'm in Manchester at the time. Let me come in and see you and I can give you a presentation. So this was before COVID. This was before the pandemic. This was before really Zoom. Zoom was still a thing. People did Zoom calls when we had calls in the US. Just slightly after we did it, we obviously had to do it on Zoom. But for me, when I first started, I made a massive effort to make sure I went to see all of the clients because it was a massive advantage for me. So I said, right, I'm in the area. So I drove 3 hours to Manchester, sat outside the practice, went into the practice, met the receptionist. Tim, we'll call him, was doing some treatment. He came out, and it was a really informal meeting. We sat on the sofa in the reception area of the clinic. So customers were coming in and out, staff members were walking around us, and me and the dental practice owner, who was in all his clinic gear, was like, right, Harry, let's talk it through. My laptop, literally a laptop on my lap. And I just took him through this presentation for like 30 minutes, him asking me questions, I was asking him questions, showed me a tour of the place. And we just were shooting the shit for like 30 minutes after the 30-minute conversation we already had. And he was like, Harry, let's get going. And I was like, I think I remember saying, and I wouldn't say this now, is you've got this other agency working with you. Like, what's the deal there? And he said, no, I'm happy to keep you both going. So he was paying 2 service fees to 2 different agencies and 2 different ad spends for the exact same service. Which, looking back on it now, is absolutely crazy. Like that would never happen now for our agency, at least. And we ended up, so I left the practice after getting a verbal agreement from him. I remember leaving, driving in traffic, just being like, holy shit, this is like the best day ever. I finally signed my first client. And I remember it was from that moment that I knew that social media marketing, like doing SMMA, was going to be me for the foreseeable future, because I sat there and thought, right, I've made 6 cold calls. I've booked a meeting on my 6th one. I've then gone to see him a week later, and I've signed him for £1,500 a month, which is what it was. If I can just do that 6 times, if I did that every day of the week for 6 days, I'd be at 10K a month. I remember this exact thought going through my brain. I was like, I just need to do that 6 more times. And then my whole goal was 10K a month. Didn't think it was possible. I thought I might make, like 40 grand a year or whatever, because I thought everyone who said 10K a month was just lying through their teeth to sell their course. And I just thought from then on, it was just game over. So got home, built the contract, sent him the contract, and then he went silent. And I was like, fuck, have I just been led up the garden path? Like, what's going to happen? Didn't sign, didn't hear from him, had to just keep ringing him, keep messaging him. And then eventually he signed the contract and sent it back, and he paid the invoice straight away and was super apologetic. But that took like 3 weeks after that verbal agreement to get it signed. But that was just because he was super busy. So that was kind of, guys, my process from having 6 months of absolute hell, not knowing what to do, not knowing how to sign a first client, and almost giving up. I practically gave up for 3 weeks and just went back to the drawing board and got my blueprint correct, and then sat down, had my LinkedIn to cold call strategy correct. I had a presentation that, I'd done so much research and so much trial and error on, that I knew that was going to work. And I already had that presentation mindset and the strategy in my brain that I knew that would work, and it did work. And then from then on, just doubled down, did it the next client, and then 4 years later, we're here today. So it's crazy how quickly things can change. But hopefully, if you're listening to that, whether you're getting ghosted, whether you're struggling to sign your first client, or you've just started cold calling, hopefully you can see different parts of my journey there and take inspiration from it. That if you don't give up and you just have to constantly keep adapting, like, don't just keep doing the same shit over and over. If you're doing 100 cold calls a day and you've been doing it for 4 months and you've not booked one meeting, or you've not got one client, go back to the drawing board. Don't just keep doing the same shit. Just because you're cold calling doesn't mean you're doing the correct type of cold calls. Like, my grandma could do a cold call, doesn't mean that she's going to do 2,000 of them and become a millionaire. So you have to make sure, at certain points you have a bit of a reality check and be a bit self-aware and be like, shit, I've been doing this long. What's not working here? Do you need to buy a course? Do you need to get on YouTube and learn a bit more? Do you need to reach out to a mentor? Do you need to reach out to me, or whatever it is? And eventually you'll get there. But I hope you enjoyed that video, guys. Hope you found that interesting. We're back posting every single day, so hope you enjoyed. Please make sure you subscribe, continue to follow us on Apple Music and Spotify. And yeah, we'll see you tomorrow at 9 a.m. for tomorrow's video.